Tonight, the latest in our buried investigation.
He's been exposed to radiation. He's been exposed to toxic levels of arsenic, and as a child, as he was developing.
A mother agonizes over her son's growing health problems, only to find out from us the daycare he used to attend was built on top of coal ash. That mom emailed WCNC Charlotte after our buried investigation exposed risky levels of arsenic and radioactivity in coal ash samples we collected near the daycare. She's among several past and recent tutor time parents who've reached out to our Nate Morabito, previously unaware of the potential risk to their kids' health and desperate to learn what steps they now need to take.
We continue to advocate on those families' behalf, bringing their questions to the attention of local and state health officials. After all, the scientists who analyzed the coal ash we collected just across the street from the daycare called the mixture a cocktail of toxic elements. In the moment, a decade ago, it all seemed so clear.
They were really good to him there.
Tutor time of Mooresville only benefited Declan Apap throughout the roughly 2 years he attended.
Say, have a good day, Mommy. Okay, Mommy.
How's your day? Good. Today,
Declan.
almost 10 years later,
Hi, bud.
knowing what they know now about the coal ash buried under and around the daycare, the 11-year-old's parents are no longer convinced.
We were never told anything.
That lack of potentially pertinent information is especially problematic, considering Declan's medical history following his time at the daycare.
GI issues,
asthma,
ADHD, a heart murmur.
Most notably, a blood clot in his brain earlier this year
Absolutely horrible.
yeah.
that left the middle schooler hospitalized, forced him to miss weeks of school, and left his parents with lingering questions about the cause.
It's been 6 months of this guessing game.
Medical records show doctors think a recent bout with the flu, coupled with a genetic mutation, triggered his March hospitalization.
There's always a hypothesis.
And while Declan's family can't say with any certainty if coal ash has had any negative health impact on him,
I would very much be concerned.
Duke University scientists we've interviewed, citing a wide body of research, have warned generally about the long-term dangers, considering the many heavy metals in its ingredients, including carcinogens and radioactivity. Their biggest worry is tied to the most vulnerable, like kids, who could breathe in tiny toxic particles or even swallow coal ash while playing in the dirt.
The impact is not immediate.
They say the potential health impacts, from asthma to cardiovascular disease, developmental disorders to cancers, might not even show up until years or decades later.
What is very dangerous is that some of these substances, they could be accumulated and stay in the body for years and years.
Following the rules of the time, Duke Energy sold the coal-burning byproduct decades ago for builders to use as cheap fill dirt. The utility continues to say it's safe, noting trace elements combined make up less than 1% of coal ash. But environmental advocates say otherwise.
We are doing an experiment on the health and well-being of people like those kids.
In response to our buried investigation, Tutor Time of Mooresville is planning a complete playground renovation and is waiting on its own tests to come back from inside its property. But the daycare has said, following a prior visual inspection by state regulators, there is no risk to children.
It just does not sit right with me.
For Declan's mother, all of this is especially difficult to process.
Knowing that my child was exposed to that, knowing that I was exposed to that.
She used to work at Tutor Time.
I mean, I recommend to people to go there.
The mom is begging the daycare to notify all past families
Why weren't we told?
so they can better inform their medical decisions.
Every parent that has been there has the right to know.
Thankfully,
Pretty much our everything.
her only child is recovering from his recent health scare
He's a fighter.
and rarely missing school now.
Anything he has to face, he overcomes.
But in this moment, his parents can't help but question everything and don't think Declan hasn't noticed.
I see them worrying about me, but I don't know what they're worrying about, and that makes me nervous.
We asked the State Department of Health what guidance they're sharing with parents. They told us there are no universal recommendations for evaluation or testing of children who are potentially exposed to coal ash. But if you are concerned, you should reach out to your pediatrician so the doctor can assess your child's symptoms, do a physical exam, and talk through potential next steps, which could include testing, depending on what soil sampling shows and the child's likelihood of exposure. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.